So let's get so you move out, you're done in college. Now it's time to you try the rock and roll thing. It doesn't work. How old are you? What's the next step? When'd you get into corporate life?
Well, I got into corporate life. Everything's a story with me. I got into corporate life by accident. Right after the band stuff, I went through a divorce early on. I was in my mid-20s, and I went to work for. Well, I started doing a radio show at the same time, but I went to work for a cult, an honest to goodness cult.
Are you saying cult?
Cult, C-U-L-T, cult.
Okay.
They wouldn't call themselves a cult, of course, and they never do. Jim Jones didn't call his cult a cult.
Right.
But this organization was teaching hands-on energy healing, but it wasn't hands-on, it was handover of aura healing, energy field healing. And I was an audio video guy supporting this and traveling around the country with the guru, very famous, very rich, sold millions of books, lots and lots of monetary success behind this person. Traveling the world with her, she had a 4-year school where very wealthy people, doctors, nurses, lawyers, corporate executives would pay $20,000 each per semester, 4 semesters a year, to go follow her and watch her channel a guide from Atlantis who would bring his wisdom to these people who believed every single word she said. And so I did that. I did that for 6 or 7 years as the leader of her IT crew and audiovisual crew.
What was her name?
Barbara Brennan. I really didn't want to say that, but Barbara Brennan School of Healing is what it's called.
When you got to Atlantis, you made me ask you what her name was.
Okay.
Yeah.
The guide from Atlantis was called Haywin.
Okay.
And here's the deal, Jerry. I swear every word of this is true. She would go into a trance and she'd have a headset mic and she'd talk with a lot of sibilance. She had like a list. And people would close their eyes and be in a room, and like 1,200 people like this, while Haywin was talking with sort of an Asian type of accent, but with the sibilance. You must know, dear people. And so, but she would do that, and then she would look over at me, one eye open, and like her mic wasn't turned up enough. She would go, and supposedly in the middle of a trance. And for people who just listen on an audio podcast, I just made a gesture like she was pointing to a mic, you know. So, but basically coming out of a trance just to tell me to turn her mic back up and then go right back into Haywin from Atlantis. That's just the tip of the iceberg. These people believed in just about everything under the sun. Easter Bunny, UFOs coming down to abduct, you name it, all that stuff. So I worked with them for...
I was going to ask you, when you say they believe, you're talking about the parishioners, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, they were students.
Yeah,
students at the university. It's a school of healing.
Because the people in charge believed in money, it sounds like, and acting.
No, they believed in both. They believed in money, but they very much believed in the stuff they were selling, and still do to this day. It's still operational. This is 30 years ago now. I have the bass player from my band who he still works for them. He worked for me 30 years ago there. He's still working there now. And they're worldwide. But yeah, everybody still believes in it. And to a point, I hate to get on this because this time is short, but just to show you what the belief system is. She had a DNA healing of her daughter, who was a student at the school, an adult daughter. And it resembled a gang rape with all the teachers around doing things to her body, and she was writhing and like an orgasmic pleasure and all this stuff. And it lasted 8 hours or 9 hours. And she was like, I'm bringing her back to a single cell amoeba. And then she was an egg, and then she was a head of lettuce, and then she was like a chicken, but she ran out of time. Bear with me here.
Yes,
she
sir.
ran out of time. Oh, we're out of time. We're going to have to continue this tomorrow. But so now her daughter isn't brought back to human state yet. She's still she's in a gazelle state with hooves. And she calls me up to the stage and says her daughter can't drive her car home because she's a gazelle with hooves. And so can you drive her car home for her? I said, yeah. And she sold this to 1,200 people sitting in the audience who watched the whole thing. we're seeing a gazelle with hooves on a table rather than a girl. They pull her out. And so I drove the car home. That's the kind of belief system. And they believed it to their core.
And this is not, for the most part, this isn't theoretically the least intelligent among us. This is, again, I'll say it theoretically, some of the most intelligent among us, as you described them.
Yes, and Barbara was a a researcher for Goddard Space Flight Agency. She was a head of research for that in the early '60s, and NASA days, flight to the moon. She was part of that team. It's before she wrote her first book on energetic healing. So yeah, those people were college graduate, PhDs. Very smart people, but what's smart.
Yeah, when I was a kid, we had the Rajneeshis. I'm in Oregon, and I don't know if you remember the Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh.
Yeah,
and
I
they
just
moved
watched
to
a
this
movie on that the other day.
Yeah, they moved to they bought a town, Antelope, I think is the name of it, in southeast Oregon. And he proceeded to drive all of the fancy cars while everybody flocked there and gave him everything that they had. And even at the time I was, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years old, however old I was, it never made any sense. I thought, what in the hell? That just doesn't make any sense to me. So I've always wondered then, for most of my life, what possesses people? What do you think possessed those people to pony up 20 G's in an otherwise normal life?